we all have these limitless pool of resources within us. We all have these resources to have the courage, have the confidence, have the belief, have the determination, the commitment, the motivation. It's all in there.
Which qualities are important as an ultra marathon runner?
For me personally, I think ultra marathon running is, for me, it's a mental game. That's why I've been invested in it. That's why I continuously do it. That's why I still do it, because I enjoy the mental growth, the mental challenges, the learning that goes in with it. So for me, it's a lot of mental resilience and strength. It's being able to have an adaptable mindset. And then probably third underneath that is about just conditioning your body, obviously, to be able to do that. You're not going to get through it solely mentally. But for me, that's what it is all about. It's the unlocking of doors in your mind. It's the strategies you have to play in your mind. It's the games that you play. It's the way your mind tries to play tricks on you that I love, that then I have to adapt to and overcome. And thankfully, I have done so far. So that's what ultra marathons are to me. That's why I'm so invested in them. That's why I love them so much.
Can you describe a time in your sporting or running career where you faced failure, and how did you overcome the challenge?
How long have we got? No, I faced failure. I mean, I can talk about running. I mean, being at the 70-mile mark when you've got 110 miles to complete, for example, you've been running for the best part of 25 hours non-stop. There's challenges there and the failures at your doorstep. But I suppose one that I can touch on in sporting context would be, obviously, I had a professional football career for 8 years, and there was a time where I went on 19 different trials, which I suppose are like job interviews in the everyday world, where every single time is knock back. And I went on 19 different trials, getting those knockbacks before funnily enough, the 20th one opened the door for me. And I think for me, in that period of my life as well, with different things that were going on, I suppose what people would call, quote, failure, but it was a constant learning process for me. Okay, what can I take from what's gone on to then serve me in my next trial, and then the next one, then the next one. And don't get me wrong, there's a couple in there where I think it was Einstein that said, you keep doing what you're doing, sort of, that's the definition of insanity. And there's a little bit of that going on, that I was doing the same thing. Well, why am I keep getting knockbacks? But when you adapt and you adapt and you adapt, I think they're the bits that I took from that period of my life that people would call a failure, because I was able to adapt mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, however you want to look at it, to then eventually find the key that unlocked the door. And I think when it comes to that is how you overcome a failure, whether that's in a sporting context, a relationship context, a mindset context, whatever it may be. That constant ability to adapt your mindset and be able to choose and pick different ways to approach a situation is ultimately what's going to give you the golden key in the end.
What inspired you to launch Made in the Mind, your performance coaching service?
Funnily enough, it's always something I knew I was going to get into after football. I never knew the actual time stamp of when that would be, but I always knew that after football, I've always been fascinated with psychology and what makes people tick, what makes that person so successful, and all these different things. And secondly, I love people. I absolutely love people. I love giving to people and things like that. And I think for me, I'm passionate. Passionate's an understatement. It's a mission of mine to impact people's lives. It is such a drive of mine to be able to take someone from whatever situation they are and improve that exponentially. And I think when it comes to setting up Made in the Mind and what inspired me to do that, one, for me, everything is made in the mind. But secondly, it is that ability to combine what I love, i.e. the mind, the psychology, behavioural traits, and then give that to people is, for me, the ultimate goal in life.
You empower people to unleash their true potential. How would you define someone's potential?
It's funny because it's a really good question, and I've thought about this a lot. And for me, someone's potential is simply, it's a limitless pool of resources that you can tap into. Now, what I mean by that is that we all have these limitless pool of resources within us. We all have these resources to have the courage, have the confidence, have the belief, have the determination, the commitment, the motivation. It's all in there. Whether we put blocks in the way or barriers in the way or try to make reasons why we can't is up to our own belief systems and our own behavioural traits. But ultimately, that is what's underneath. It's a limitless pool of courage, conviction, determination, confidence that you can tap into. And that's what I do. And when it says, when my whole thing is unleash your true potential, it is exactly that. Unleash that limitless pool of resources that you have, tap into that, and then that all comes out. So that's what it means to me.